I would say that there's one very, very definitive moment that basically defined the rest of my life. And that was the moment when I discovered MTV. I usually credit that moment with the impetus to apply to Harvard.
Tell us about a little girl from Latvia, first time going out of gray into color. So it's almost like going from monochrome to to color. What was that emotion like? How did you feel at that point?
So my first steps at Harvard Yard were an absolute fairy tale, but they were also very, very real. So there was this whole mythology for me in my mind of what my destiny was, how this gift I have received defined where I was going. So I really got to dive deeper into this fascination I had with how content, media, mythology is created. I remember around that time picking up this famous Buddhist maxim, all that we are arises from our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make our world. And that really resonated with me. What makes our thoughts? The movies, the books, today, the social media we watch. So that was a very interesting way of diving really deeply, applying almost a mathematical precision to understanding what shapes our minds and how do we as human beings create our destiny and our reality, and how media and stories and that famous genie, that little screen, impacts what we are.
One of the things I always quote as part of this futurism is that anything and everything that can be digitized will be, because it'll be 1,000 times faster and 1,000 times cheaper. But anything and everything that cannot be digitized, love, harmony, and connection and passion and common sense and heart, soul, spirit, and all of the things that you were speaking about was resonating with me massively, because I talk about the leaders of the future will be anthropologists and psychologists and people who understand humanities as opposed to technology, because we lead and the technology just serves us. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. So it's really refreshing talking to an entrepreneur who has the math background. So you've got that covered. And on the other side, now you're looking at humanities. And actually, that convergence, that nexus is really interesting.
It's so relevant today in the world of pre-metaverse and everything we're looking at. So I think it's our job, actually, as people who understand both sides, to continue stressing the importance of the human aspect of it. This probably could be the subject of another hours of conversation, because we really have to make a difference in that respect. So with me, what happened is I arrived at Harvard, and because I was like the first student from then yet Soviet Union. Soviet Union fell apart in about a year. So I was the first student from the Soviet bloc to ever apply to an American college, to ever get into an Ivy League school. So it was a big deal. And there was lots of articles, the New York Times, local TV stations. I got an interview with one of the big TV channels, Christian Science Monitor. And after the interview, convinced that I was going to work in television, that this genie we talked about, the answer was there with TV. I was going to be in television. I've asked the journalist if they had an internship open. He burst out laughing, saying, "You know what? It never happened to me. I'm interviewing a celebrity." And she asked me if I have an internship. "We don't, but we'll make one for you." So that internship opened up my eyes on the world of television as we know it, because I've realized there was just a machine. It kind of reminded me of the Soviet Union. This media was all formatted. You had AP Press and other channels coming in. There was nothing new. There was no creativity, no inspiration. There was no Billie Jean in there. There was nothing that was going to wake up a little girl in Latvia or Somalia or somewhere else. So TV was not for me. I understood that old system. If I was going to work there, I would just be a little cog in it. And I would be shaped by that system before I was able to shape it. So in my idealistic way, believing that magic is possible because I've done it once, I ended up somehow walking into the MIT Media Lab. I was editing a film and they had some equipment I needed. And one of the professors, who was actually the founding member of the MIT Media Lab, as was my advisor, but Seymour Papert, the brilliant mind, who was basically the father of computers for education, school of thought, somehow saw my work. And he said, you should consider applying here. I had no idea what the Media Lab was. It was already at the time a fairly well-known institution. He called in the woman who became my advisor and my lifetime friend, Gloriana Davenport. And she said, "You know what? I have 20 applications for the spot. The deadline is 10 days past due. Apply." And so I filled it out, not knowing what I was getting into. And there I was at the Media Lab, the ultimate playground, the ultimate uh, toolbox to learn about combining media and humanities with technology and building these new ideas. When you have an idea and it's an architectural idea and you want to implement it in technology, you need to break it down into programmable steps so somebody can build it. And that's really hard. So I remember going to my one of my advisors, who was the vice chairman of the Media Lab, Andy Lipman, a brilliant physicist. And I kept showing him my idea, saying, look, it's so brilliant. I'm building this thing. It's going to transform the world of filmmaking, online shopping, etc. But, these programmers I'm hiring, they just can't design this thing I'm trying to build. And he said, just do it yourself. And I was like, what do you mean do it myself? Like, I was just making all the films and I was editing and I'm too busy. I'm writing the thesis. He said, do it yourself. So here I was buying a book called Learn Java in 21 Days. And in 14 days, I programmed the thing that I was trying to get these guys for 3 months to program for me. Nothing has served me as much in my startup experience as this experience of saying, you know what, I'll do it myself. If I can't express it, let me do it myself. Let me show it. And then I could show it to others. So it was a combination of everything. You had to write, you had to make films, you had to program, you had to code. When you graduate, you're on top of the world. Nike comes in to see it, to see your work and say, oh my God, Natalia is too expensive for us. Things like that happen. And then once you graduate, what do you do? Unless you decide to stay for PhD or go into the academia, which was not an option for me. I really wanted to go into the world and make a difference. And everyone would say, well, congratulations, you now have the best education in the world. It's going to take the world 15 years to catch up with you. Good luck finding a job. So as a result, I would say the Media Lab pretty much programmed me to be an entrepreneur.